And welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, it's a rainy Thursday afternoon, and it's myself and Ricky P on the mic today. 2 days after the debacle in the Bronx, I do say the best team did win the series, Rick.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I had that feeling when Kimbrel came in that it wasn't going to end 4-1, and it didn't, only because he's struggled at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So I think that's the one place that he really doesn't do well in. But look, they were the better team. They won 108 games. Astros, Red Sox are the two teams that should be playing, and I'm happy that it's going to be those two teams.
I'm
a neutral.
Going back some, after that wild card game, the Yankees, you were ready to jump on Boone's, bandwagon, saying like, hey, listen, he did a good job. And I had said, I just got to hold off a bit. And this is what made me want to hold off. It's just the in-game decisions. I'm not saying he's going to be a terrible manager moving forward. I just say right now, he's not good for the Yankees because the Yankees, let's face it, as soon as they got Stanton, they aren't the lovable kids anymore. They are the empire back again. And I believe this was the year to win. You had the pitchers. I don't want to hear that, you had the bullpen. You went out and got Happ. First of all, in my opinion, Happ should have been starting the damn game. What does this tell you about the New York Yankees? That the past 3 years, you have CC Sabathia, win or lose, he's been pitching the elimination games. What does that tell you? That the strength of the team is really everything but the starting pitching. So it's something we have to address. It's something they have to address. And I believe a guy going into the winter meetings is a Patrick Corbin, somebody on that market.
Yeah, two things. One, the Red Sox were the better team going into it. They've been the better team all season. So if we're breaking down these two teams, I broke it down into 4 categories. Starting pitching, bullpen, ability to hit for power, and ability, would I say, not eccentric now. I guess it is eccentric nowadays. It's more of like the original baseball. The only category the Red Sox failed to win was bullpen. They moved guys over. They bunted. They did the things that we baseball hardcore fans enjoy.
Yes.
Right. So they won that. They hit for more power. We couldn't find the $300 million man Stanton. Couldn't find the 98 mile an hour superstar Severino. So we always say in the playoffs, stars have to be stars. And then you get a role player or two who emerges. The stars didn't really show up other than Aaron Judge. Severino was nowhere to be found.
Stanton,
$300 million man, couldn't be found. No extra base hits, no RBIs in the series. We look at the only one who was really productive, who I've said I wanted in that wild card game when they played Oakland, was Masahiro Tanaka. He was by far, I'll throw Aaron Judge, and I'll even give Sanchez some love. He had a nice game too. Masahiro Tanaka was by far my biggest surprise in terms of what I actually thought the Yankees would get. And I hate to say it, they weren't really close in any of the games. Game 2 they won, and Game 1 was relatively close. They got to that bullpen. But again, if the Red Sox have any semblance of a bullpen that's decent, it wouldn't have been close.
Yeah, the thing I see about the Red Sox is they coordinated their bench and they coordinated their coaching staff better than the Yankees. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see experience all around the diamond, if not in the dugout. For the Yankees, I mean, the really experienced one on the staff is Larry Rothschild. I mean, you have a rookie manager.
Pops, as I like to call him.
Right.
Pops.
You have rookie manager with a rookie bench coach. First of all, I think Alex Cora is the better of the two. But then you have the Red Sox have Ron Renicky, remember, from the Milwaukee days. Mm-hmm. So he has guys around him
that have been there,
done that to, okay, listen, hey, Alex, maybe we should switch this up. This is how we used to do it. Whatever. I feel like Boone is just driving a ship blind, and it's really Cashman from up top controlling everything.
Well, to your point, I'm not disagreeing. Alex Cora was a Dodger for a long. He was there with the days of when Jimmy Rollins got a little bit older, and they had some of those veteran guys. We look at the National League as a sort of way to play playoff baseball. American League is fine and dandy. The pitchers throw hard, and you get a nice bullpen, and your guys hit home runs. And your average might be low, but you're going to outslug teams. in the playoffs, you see this National League type of thinking do a little bit more. And Aaron Boone was an American League player. And he's now an American League manager. Alex Cora had some of those National League roots in him. I think Cora outmanaged Boone. But what I want to say is I also think Cora had a much better team. So if the roles were reversed, it would have been interesting to see. The only big error I saw in Boone, it was Game 3. After Severino, he brought in Lance Lynn. At that point, I understand what he was thinking, which was Lance Lynn's a sinker ball pitcher, keeps it low in the zone. If he executes one pitch, it's a double play. It's 4-0. You still have a game. The problem is, you look at Lance Lynn's numbers from Minnesota. Came over here. It wasn't that much better. He replaced Sonny Gray on the roster. It was pretty much a like for like. Maybe Chase Tarpley. I don't know what they were thinking, but it was pretty much the same deal. He didn't execute, and that game was washed. Now, again, it got out of hand. Romine pitched, but that's the only thing I'll say. And we don't even know if the Yankees would have come back. Right. I think that's the only thing he really mismanaged. Are you along? I know you haven't been a Boone guy this entire season. Is there anything that really stuck out to you, or was it just a culmination of death by 1,000 cuts, little by little by little? You just saw Alex Cora outmanage him.
Not only did I think that Alex
Which
Cora,
he did. I think Alex Cora did outmanage
absolutely.
him.
We agree 100% on that. But also, too, I always say, the same things that make you laugh make you cry, And I feel, okay, you saw in that wild card game, he was taking chances with Dellin Betances for 2 innings, okay? Who's known Dellin Betances to go 2 innings? Usually the second inning, he gets hit, okay? Then to bring in Dellin that early, okay? And then Severino going 4 innings. So you see the pattern. He's doing things that are unorthodox, right? Mm-hmm. Bringing in guys where they're not used to being brought in.
Which I do think in the playoffs it calls for those types of things.
Right, actually, high leverage.
Right, and if we also go back to Oakland, let's be realistic. They were completely outplayed. They had young guys that have never been there before, and they were going with a bullpen game at Yankee Stadium. Not going to work.
But for me, I feel, okay, him and CeCe, they're cool buds. But as soon as the turning point for me was going into that 3rd inning, I believe it was 3rd or 4th inning.
With Lynn?
No, with Sabathia. I believe. Oh,
into the 3rd.
Yeah,
only
pitched
and you
3. Had Benintendi, Steve Pearce, and J.D. Martinez coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know Benintendi's a lefty. Right then, I said
I would have taken him out.
I would have taken him out. Some people say they should have waited. Okay, he hit him. Okay, then take him out. I'm cool with that too because he's starting out an inning. But I would have started the inning with J Happ. He pitched 44 pitches a couple of days ago. I know he's not used to coming out of the bullpen, but look at I keep hearing this, J Happ pitches well against the Red Sox. J Happ does this against the Red Sox and the Yankees. Well, I didn't see any of it, all this talk about what could have happened and what he does right and what he does well against Boston. Well, I didn't see any of it because we never got to Boone using him in those situations. Not only, starting Sabathia in your elimination game, but you skipped over Happ, a guy that Yankee fans and everyone else was craving for by the deadline. They end up getting him, and he doesn't pitch any of the games. He pitches the first game against Boston, and okay, it didn't work out well, but to his, I'm not going to fully back him, but he is playing against Sale, who's like probably the nowadays Randy Johnson.
Right.
So, okay, so he has that. But, Porcello's on the mound. It's not,
well, he did look pretty good.
He did look good. But, right there, you got to stop the bleeding. You see Benintendi get on base. Right then, I pull him. And, if you want to talk to me about, okay, starters coming out from the bullpen, they're not used to it. They need a clean inning. Okay, fine. You know what? You bring in Chad Green there. You bring out a strikeout pitcher because I knew – looking at Pierce loves guys like that. Lefty, throwing 86. He could turn on it.
He's been hitting pretty well,
and
too.
we can't even say enough about J.D. Martinez. So
he hits anyone.
So I could just smell, you watch so many amount of games, you could just smell when the trouble's coming. And it always happens when you walk the first batter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Two of those points I want to address. The first that you brought up, which again, I'm not disagreeing with. I understand why he didn't bring in J Happ because now you're leveraging Game 5. And I know it's...
But we got to get there first.
No, I understand you got to win Game 4, but that's not the situation. I don't want to bring J Happ when he just got shelled. I don't want to do that. But to even go earlier, CeCe Sabathia has had a crazy numbers versus anyone when the Yankees are coming off a home loss. I think he was like 21-8. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if he was 21-8 or maybe the Yankees were. Whatever the numbers were, I don't mind CeCe there because he's the guy, that bulldog guy where I'm like, you know what? I want him. Mm-hmm. He's got the mentality. He's certainly been there before. So I don't mind that. I just wouldn't have wanted to see J Happ in there. Again, we're looking at it, the Yankees lost. Yeah. Right. And I think we're trying to, at the end of the day, when we really look at it, the Red Sox were the better team. I said Red Sox in 5. Right. It ended up being in 4. Yeah. I guess we were both wrong. I had the winner, but we both didn't get the games right. After looking at it, I don't think the series really deserved to go 5. The Yankees were just outplayed. Now, again, they only lost 2 games by a run, and that's all well and good, but you didn't win. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This isn't like football where if you wouldn't lose by 1, it is what it is. But we have to, turn the page, and now if we look forward, this team made the ALCS last season, Game 7. As every Yankee fan agrees, it wasn't even their time. So we thought this was coming. This year, 4th game of the ALDS. Now, granted, this Red Sox team was probably better than last year's Astros team. Are signs looking up, or are we looking at the Red Sox and we're looking at the Astros and Red Sox and potentially the Indians again? Where do you see the Yankees going in the next 2-3 years?
Well, going forward, because we can't dwell on the past, obviously, I believe with more time, Boone will gain more experience, I would hope. 2 is, they have to get pitching. You could slug as much as you want. You see the Colorado Rockies. You see all these teams. In the end of the day, you need pitching. Boston has Sale, and Price. Now, people want to laugh at me and say, well, they have Price. Yeah, Price pitches well against everybody but the Yankees. Right. So why do you think he's pitching again against the Houston? Watch him throw like 8 innings, one hit ball.
And don't even get me started on Houston's
rotation. And Houston, you got Gerrit Cole, Justin Verlander, Lance McCullers, all those boys. And Keuchel. So to compete with that right now, I don't see it. And it kind of pains me because we do have the lineup, but to move forward and to get into that elite category, I believe one of these kids have to go.
One of the things that
for a big time DeGrom,
right, and I don't disagree at all. One of the things that the Yankees did, the Yankees had, I don't even want to say their pitching was a weakness coming into the season. It was, I would say, about average maybe. Yeah. They left that alone and said it'll be good enough to get back to that spot. Let's bolster the lineup.
And the bullpen.
Right, in the bullpen, which they did. They addressed those 2 things.
They basically said, let's score more runs and shorten the game.
Right, and which it's not a bad plan nowadays, but the problem is when you can't rely on these guys the entire time. And I hate to say it, your $300 million man, who I think was the MVP of the Yankees this season, I absolutely agree with that. Maybe Severino's first half, and maybe, I would say Betances and Judge were... Betances and Stanton, were the 2 most consistent throughout the season. When the Yankees really need Stanton to step up throughout the season, he did, because there were a lot of times where he was the only man in the lineup. And Andujar, too. But the $300 million man didn't show up. Severino didn't show up. The bullpen, again, Dellin showed up in Oakland, and he was probably the most consistent one, but I saw Zach Britton give up a home run. I saw Robertson a little shaky here and there. Chapman didn't really get a chance to pitch. I hate, so it's tough to judge him because he's a closer. They need to, I would have loved to see, I hate to say it, I would have shipped Gleyber Torres off for Jacob deGrom. I've been saying it all year. I like Andujar better. I don't like the Robinson, Cano, and Gleyber Torres. And look, you could have sent Tyler Austin and Gleyber Torres, and deGrom would be a Yankee. And maybe someone else. But.
Yeah, all signs point to the Mets. I mean, they should sign him. But if not, there is some type of window because now you lose a half a year. So now it's only 2 years they have left of controllability. Maybe the price comes down, so you never know. But here's another thing I would like to revisit. Yankees messed up on getting Gerrit Cole. I would like to know what broke that deal. I think it was Miguel Andujar they wanted with Clint Frazier and Justice Sheffield.
Which looking back at it, it's okay.
But now, but pitching rules.
Houston just won a World Series, And they were loaded everywhere.
Where?
So now they did. I like what they did. They showed their players and their fans, look, we just won and we want to get better.
Yeah, win
more. They didn't trust McCullers and maybe they didn't trust Keuchel. But as we look forward to these upcoming games, we're down to 4 teams. If we rank these teams 1 through 4, is it Red Sox, Astros, do the Brewers crack it? I think if we're looking at it
for the postseason,
right, coming into it, we would have to, realistically, the way these teams are playing, we'd have to kind of put the Dodgers 4th. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're putting the Brewers 4th, but we have to. We're going to say the Red Sox and Astros are 1-2, or Astros, Red Sox.
I'm going to say
how would you rank them?
Just right now, I'm going to rank them Boston 1, and then Houston 2. Mm-hmm. And Milwaukee 3, and like you said, the Dodgers 4. Mm-hmm. And it's just for the mere fact of, okay, I don't know what Kenley Jansen I'm getting. That's number 1.
I don't trust that bullpen entirely either.
2, Clayton Kershaw can't pitch every day. And 3, Milwaukee just has the better bullpen. I mean, they could end the game in the 3rd inning with those four. Right. They have 4 guns.
Right, and that's the thing.
That's scary.
You could realistically, the Brewers, they want to. First of all, let's give the Brewers credit.
Absolutely.
Woodruff pitched very well. Julius Chassin pitched very well. So, I hate to say it for we have a New York fan base. Julius Chassin has outpitched Luis Severino. He's pitched 2 games. And
basically all of them.
Right, and I would say first half AL Cy Young, or at least in the conversation, got completely outpitched. Now, granted, Julius Chassin wasn't going against the Red Sox. He went against the Cubs and the Rockies. But still bona fide lineups. But I think if we look at it, I'm going to go Astros 1. I'm going to change my World Series pick. I'm going to take the Houston Astros. Alex Bregman said something when they first won and said, maybe we'll finally play on primetime. I think it's getting to the point where they're starting to get a little underlooked, and they just won last year. So I'm gonna take them over the Red Sox.
Okay, so you're probably looking like at a Houston Milwaukee World Series. Is that what I'm smelling from you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna
not great for Major League Baseball, but that's the way.
I'm gonna say a Red Sox Milwaukee Brewer World Series.
I think so. We like the Brewers. They've won 14 in a row. They are on fire.
I love the Dodgers, but you know what? They just find a way always to make people just disappointed.
If we're playing the payroll game, we'll take the Dodgers. Yeah. But unfortunately, this isn't basketball. You don't play the payroll game.
Okay. Moving on to some football. All right. It's stop crying the blues, New York. We'll live on. Move on to some football, but hey, you might cry a little bit if you're gang blue. New York Giants, Rick, they play tonight, Thursday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they done? Absolutely not, just because the division is so pathetic. They sit there at 1-4. The division leader is the Washington Redskins at 2-2. That's a game and a half out. The Eagles aren't playing well. We know Dallas is anemic offense. I think the Giants, if they can figure out Eli and figure it out, I think the Giants are right there. I think they have a great chance tonight, and I actually like the Giants tonight. Yeah, a couple of notes. Lane Johnson for Philadelphia is out, and Olivier Vernon is back, so watch out for that matchup. You could definitely see Olivier Vernon switching sides and getting some pass rush on Wentz. No, I totally agree with you. I don't think anyone in this division is done, to be real, because they're just so bad. There's not any team taking it by the reins. And now maybe it will be Philadelphia because they have ultimately the better team. But for right now, it's up in the air. And I think the Giants should take advantage of that because you could go in and try to win this division 8-8, believe it or not. Yeah, speaking of being out of it, what happened to the Giants last week? They had everything go wrong for them on the last play. You have Cam Newton spiking it when we don't think there's any timeouts left. We weren't sure. Fox showed us that it was 4th and 1. It ended up being a first down. We thought Cam Newton was spiking it on 4th and 1. And then Graham Gano comes out and hits a 63-yard field goal. Between that happening and Odell Beckham's comments, I mean, this team, they have to win tonight, right? I think at 1-5, they're over. 2-4, I don't think they look great, but let's put it this way: no wild card is coming from this division because you still have the Packers and Vikings in the north, and the Bears are playing well. Out west, maybe the Seahawks, and then down south, you got the Saints, Falcons, Panthers,
I think the Bucs we can kind of write off now. It's not coming from this division. So I think with Wentz starting to get back, the Eagles might pick it up, but this is where the Giants can get a win.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Hey, the weather outside looks frightful. And, weather plays a big part. And, anyone who's ever traveled to MetLife, the Meadowlands, once it starts getting gusty, rainy, it plays heavily into the home team's favor because, the Giants want to get into a defensive game. All right? And then timely scoring. Maybe you hit Beckham on a slant. Or I see a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley, 30 touches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mark it down right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think this might be like one of those Thursday night games that we saw last year, like kind of boring. I don't think we're going to see many explosive plays in the passing game, which I think, if the Giants said we'll cancel out Eli for Carson Wentz, they would do that because they have the advantage at running back right now. The Giants obviously done for the season, still don't have Sproles. I just think that Saquon Barkley, you're right, he might go for 25 touches. If you have a wide receiver and going in this game or a pass catcher, maybe it's Zach Ertz, just be a little wary with the weather. And again, you don't even know, like we talk about game script, like we don't know if the Giants or Eagles are going to be winning. So if the Giants are winning, they're going to hand it off to Saquon.
Right.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, definitely I feel like a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley and, a mixture of defense. You got Wentz still coming off the injury. He has been a little slow. And no Jay Ajayi. So, there's a mixture of backs, which we are going to get into. But definitely a mixture of running backs. You have a lineman that's out tonight. Maybe you see a little Giant Meadowlands magic tonight. Yeah,
the Giants certainly need it again. I think we can both agree 1-5, your season's over.
Yeah.
This is the only division at 1-4. We're not saying their season's over.
Really. No, absolutely not.
Victor Cruz actually said on ESPN that they are going on a run. He said they're going to win 4 or 5 games. Victor, you're not playing anymore.
Yeah, go salsa size somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So we move on. So other Giant news, which is making big headlines. You got Lil Wayne with OBJ in the locker room. What is going on with OBJ? I like OBJ because, I love the way he plays. And not only do we share the same birthday, I just don't like his attitude, Frick. I mean, he played good soldier this summer in August.
Well, and he got his money.
Once he got the deal before week 1, now I guess it's okay to act like a clown. It's okay to embarrass yourself. It's okay to put your quarterback out there and let him get run over by the first student bus. It's okay to put your coach and your teammates out there and blame it on them. Parcells always used to say, Bill Parcells, he always used to say, don't point the finger, point the thumb. Say to yourself, what could I do to get better? And right now, OBJ is just pointing the finger. He's pointing it to everyone because he's blaming everybody from here to everywhere.
Well, 2 things. One, he's let's forget about what he said. Let's look at the issue. The issue is the Giants. With the Giants is Eli Manning. I mean, if we look at Eli's numbers without Odell Beckham is single-handedly keeping Eli somewhat relevant. Mm-hmm. Sterling Shepard is not a game changer in that sort of sense. Evan Ingram isn't that game changer sort of sense. He's got 2 game changers, Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham. Saquon Barkley hasn't been running for so many yards. If you take away his big chunk plays, he's not getting that much. The reason is they're loading the box because Eli can't throw the football. I think Odell's comments are really, it's a backhanded way of telling the Giants, look, I'm here, Saquon's here, Evan Ingram's here, Sterling's here. We're not going anywhere. Get your situation with the quarterback fixed. He said something along the lines of, going over the middle for shallow crossing routes are cool, but I'd like to take the top off a defense. Right. Eli Manning's not providing that.
Right. He's looking for him over for a quick slant.
I think, right. And again, it's like Eli's one of my favorite New York sports athletes because of the things that he's done. But like at the same time, we've got to look at like all these young franchises that maybe have some promise. Rosen, Darnold, Mayfield. We know what Mahomes is doing in his second year. Wentz is still young. Like we've got the Giants need to move on. And I think again, we've harked back on it. They have all the weapons on the outside and no engine. Mm-hmm. So I think Odell Beckham actually did a decent job of not. I don't even think he's talking about everyone. I think he's putting it nicely and trying to tell people, look, like it's kind of on Eli. Like we haven't even seen him take a deep shot. I mean, what safety is going to play 30, 40 yards away when they don't go for more than a 10-yard hitch? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, because Eli's got noodle arm right now, and not only that, the offensive line isn't blocking and isn't blocking well. You saw they just released Eric Flowers.
Right, so they've given up on Flowers finally. Hernandez, the guard, not shaping up to what they thought they would be. First of all, a guard out of UTEP. How about the guard from Wisconsin? They're big boys up there. UTEP? Okay. And Nate Solder, I think it's because Brady threw the ball before the ball even reached him. It looked like the way Brady was throwing, Nate Solder only hit the block for a half a second. So I think, they gave him money. I get it. It takes time to juggle. What we've been saying, this whole line's got to come together eventually. We've been saying it for years. Like, I'm not saying Brady and Rodgers and saying Mahomes, like, they have unbelievable lines, but when you get it out quicker, it makes your line look a little bit better.
No, absolutely. And they just have to work on getting the ball out. But you know what? It's hard enough to play this game, and it's hard enough to get a win in the NFL. But to have people mouthing off and doing this, it's better to keep these things in-house. And
So you don't like his comments?
No, absolutely not. I believe if you got something to say, go up to Eli and close the door and say what you got to say. You don't have to say it through the media. You don't, because now it just gives us and everyone else something to talk about, and that's not what they do.
Well, I think Eli's got I think Odell's got too much respect for Eli to really. I don't think he pointed the finger directly at Eli. That's what we're all surmising, and it makes sense. His play, again, they're getting Olivier Vernon back, so maybe their defense will step. But it's, last week they gave up a bunch to Carolina, but they didn't give up anything really to Jacksonville. They didn't really give up anything to Houston. So their defense has been decent. Look, like Eli, it's not like Eli's like doing it on purpose. He's not sabotaging anyone, but it's kind of like, look, like management. I think we're assuming it's Eli, and we might be completely wrong. Odell might be pointing the finger at everyone else, but I think with the money comes a leadership role that whether he even admitted he's never had a leadership role like this, and I think he's really trying to do his best job without really pointing the finger directly. He didn't say Eli, Olivier Vernon, Sterling Shepard. I don't think he didn't really, go all like that. Was it the best? No, but did they play pretty well against Carolina after it came out? I want to say they might have played their best game of the season. Maybe you could say against Houston when they won, but they would be their second best game of the season. So maybe it did galvanize the troops. And what is Shermer doing? The locker room handled it. That comes off as weak. You're the coach. You are in control of the locker room. Did you handle it, or did the players just say, okay, like Odell said something like, you're the coach, go handle it? Like, I understand he's getting frustrated, and again, winning cures all. But don't tell me the locker room handled it. You are the locker room. Belichick doesn't allow this stuff to go on. John Harbaugh doesn't allow this stuff to go on. We don't hear anything with Sean McVay. We don't hear anything with Sean Payton in New Orleans. You are the coach. Get it together.
Absolutely. And you couldn't say it any better, Rick. All right, moving on. Okay, we're done with that mess. Jets and Giants.
Oh, another mess.
Yeah, another mess. But, okay, let's start off with the Giant game. I was going to say the Jet game, but since we started talking about Giants game tonight, Thursday night, who do you got, Rick?
I'm going to take the Giants. I'm not confident in anything. If we're going 1 to 10 stars, I'd throw like a 3 or 4 on it. Can I see the Eagles winning? Sure. Can I see them winning by 3 touchdowns? Sure. Can I see the Giants winning? Like, I have no idea. I just think the Giants, maybe Victor's right. Maybe he's got a point. Like, this is their season. And it could really end before Halloween. So I'm just going to take the Giants just because their back is further against the wall.
Yeah. For those reasons and more.
I'll say 2017. Yeah. Sure. I don't know.
Yeah. I believe the better team is the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they have the Lane Johnson out. I don't think that makes such a difference. I believe they're going to lean on these two new backs. The Philadelphia Eagles, we'll get into it. Wendell Smallwood, I think, will have a big load to take. I know people, especially in fantasy, are jumping all over Clement because they saw the week 2 results when he played Tampa, but that was also the last time he played. So are we really willing to give a workload to a guy who's just coming off an injury? I don't think so right now. I could see him appear on third downs out of the passing situation and stuff like that. But workload coming out in base formation, I could see definitely Wendell Smallwood taking a big load, especially with the weather. And it's going to be raining, windy. I believe a lot of play action, play off the run, and a lot of dink and dunk passes for Wentz. And then you know what? He'll hit that big one to Alshon Jeffrey to close it out.
Yeah, again, no one's confident. Like you can ask the experts, the pros, like nobody knows. And again, that's what happens when you have a 1-4 team play a 2-3 team. They're inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
But let's move on to the other New York team, who's 2-3.
Woo!
They're 2-3, but the 2-3 is a little disguised.
Right.
And that's the New York Jets. They get the Colts this week. What are you expecting to see?
Well,
let me backtrack. The Denver Broncos. I'll let you hit home on it, but we talked about it last week that this was a game you feel like the Jets would win, and they did. Denver actually became the slight favorite just at game time. But Denver, think about it. They had the Monday night debacle. They were up 10 to Mahomes.
Yeah.
Then they got on a short week. They got to go across the country to a motivated Jet team.
Right. I'm gonna tell you right now. Number 1, Denver's done. They're done. Number 2, they better start looking for another coach because he's not finishing the season. And number 3. Get some better play calling because that is horrendous against the Jets. Listen, I'm a Jet fan. I love seeing them do well, but some of the inept play calling, it wasn't good. And I believe Elway is a much, I would say, more experienced and smarter guy than us. So he would definitely make a change. And the way that the NFL is going, just to rant on Denver a little bit, the way the NFL is going, and this goes for the Jets too. It's more of an offensive league. The penalties, the game, fantasy, everything is made for offense. And I believe a Todd Bowles, a Vance Joseph, a Sam Wilkes, a Mike Tomlin,
it's tough.
All those guys are being obsolete. Those guys in 2, maybe 3, I think it's 2, even next year, are going to be all obsolete. This is a passing league. These guys want coaches that are offensive gurus. Look at Gruden. Not that they're having the best success, but they're just installing his offense. Look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid has adapted so much from the college game, taking Mahomes and installing that kind of offense into his own offense.
And Andy Reid is the true quarterback whisperer. He made Alex Smith look like the second coming of Tom Brady. Now, again, they faltered down the stretch, but look,
now you got a guy that has the talent.
Right. When we heard that Patrick Mahomes was outplaying Alex Smith in practice, and then he went to Denver last year and won Week 17. Look, the kid hasn't lost a football game. And, real quick before we go back to the Jets, I think that's going to be a fun one. Chiefs, Patriots Sunday night. But let's go back. Jets. They have the Colts this week.
Right. It's the 69th anniversary, by the way, folks. The Jets Nation out there. You're going to see a little Joe Namath.
Is he playing?
No. I wish, but no. You're going to see a little George Sauer, Matt Snell, all those guys. Definitely have a fun time out there. But yes, back to the game. Definitely, I could see a Jet victory, but no, I do not.
I don't either
Because you know what it is? I'm sorry to tell you, folks, and Jet fans out there alike. I've seen it too many times. They tantalize you. They get the big win.
They already did it with Detroit this
season.
season.
They lose to Miami. They get the big win. They'll lose to the Colts. Okay? With no T.Y. Hilton, no Jack Doyle. I'm not going to fall for it, folks. I am not. Yes, it is a home game. I know everybody's going to be going bananas. They're probably going to wear all white like they did when they won in 69. They're going to do everything they could. But you know what? Joe Namath is not behind quarterback. And what's his name? Weebank, the old coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not coaching. It's Todd Toilet Bowles.
Yeah.
So, to that, I see a 24-17 Colt victory. Andrew Luck has the game of his life. I believe 40 fantasy points. I think he's going to the likes of Eric Ebron, Chester, the molester, Rogers. Definitely using his backs. Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins. I believe Andrew Luck will have a day for the ages. And that's not just the negativity in me. It's realization, Jets fans. It's realization that this team lives to torment me and all of you. They get a big win like that, don't expect much. Now, I am the one of positive whispering, and I'll say, I could see them. They have a bad offensive line. Yeah, the Colts' offensive line will look like the Cowboys' line of 2016 this weekend, and they won't get to anybody, and Luck will look like Joe Montana back there. So all I'm saying is temper expectation, Jet fans.
Yeah, you said it best.
They love to tantalize us.
The Jets are really, really good at getting your hopes up. We said after the Lions game the Jets were gonna, get a wild card and all this stuff. And 2-3, I mean, they beat a really bad Detroit team. I shouldn't say really bad, not great, Detroit team. And then they beat a Denver team who isn't all that great right now either. The Colts actually put up some points against New England in that Thursday night game. And I think the Colts are actually going to get it done as well. But I see a lot more high scoring. I actually see it. I think the winner gets in the 30s. I'm going to go 30-21 Colts. Eric Ebron, if you don't own him, if he's not owned, then your league needs to be checked. If he's not owned, do whatever you can to go get him because look, I told Puma, I've been telling everyone, look, watch out for Eric Ebron, and Puma laughed at me because, yes, in his Detroit days, he was a nightmare. He was one of the biggest busts. But if we look at that Detroit team, Matt Stafford also had Calvin Johnson forever. He likes those big play, go get me type of balls that he throws. Kenny Golladay, perfect example, and Golden Tate. Eric Ebron reminds me a lot of Evan Ingram. And Luck is one of those guys who likes to go over the middle a little bit more. We don't see the Lions go over the middle all that much. Tate runs a lot of hitches and out routes. And Kenny Galladay's go up and get it. And then you have Marvin Jones who seems to show up in the end zone. I don't know. Marvin Jones literally has no catches until the red zone. But look, so I don't think Ebron fit there. But I think Ebron's been a nice fit. I think the Colts are starting to get somewhere. If they can get Doyle and T.Y. Hilton healthy, we don't think it's going to be this game. Look for Eric Ebron. You're right. Look for the backs. But I think there are going to be points that are scored.
Yeah, Luck is going to kill them. Okay, so moving on to our fantasy starts and sits. Now, my friend, you go first with your start, and then I'll go.
I'm just going to continue Eric Ebron. I mean, this guy has literally been killing teams. I actually looked at the points today. I believe he's second. He's ahead of Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
He's ahead of Zach Ertz. I mean, this guy put up 31 points. Now, granted, last week when they played the Patriots, they got a pass interference and they play action fake and threw it to him in the end zone. Maybe he's got some sort of touchdown bonus that Andrew Luck might see. Yeah. But at the same time, no, he's the only pass catcher. I do worry about his consistency going forward once Doyle and Hilton come back. But do you know that he has the most red zone and end zone looks for all tight ends?
Wow.
And Andrew Luck, they've been throwing the ball. This is a perfect match, and this is one of those things. Look, we kind of look at fantasy and say, no tight end. You don't have Gronk, Kelsey, Ertz. Where do you go? A lot of people went Delaney Walker, maybe Antonio Gates. But look, this guy, if you were able to get on him, he filled in. And you could trade him high. I've seen people that have gotten him third or fourth round picks because of his production. Now, if you can get a third or fourth round pick, ship him off. But if you have him, start him.
Great. That's a good point. My start of the week, I'm going to go with Austin Ekeler of the not San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers. They are visiting the Cleveland Browns. Now, for all the talk I talk about Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett on defense for these Cleveland Brownies, they are kind of middle of the pack in giving up rushing yards. You saw what Isaiah Crowell for the New York Jets did on Thursday night 2 weeks ago, and he had himself a game. And I believe Austin Ekeler will have himself a game. I say at least 15 to 20 fantasy points just on the mere fact of that's Phillip Rivers' safety net out of the backfield. He throws to him. He has standalone value, even for an offense that has a top 5 running back in Melvin Gordon. I believe Austin Ekeler is in the fold as their wideout and in the back on third downs. And Austin Ekeler is a great play and a must start for me. Who's your sit, my friend?
I actually went with 2 guys only because they're on the same team. We talked about it earlier, Corey Clement and Wendell Smallwood. I need to see and believe first for both of those guys. I'm a little bit higher on Wendell Smallwood because of his pass catching ability. I think they're going to let Wentz start to air it out as the season goes along. He'll get healthier. The knee will get better. He'll start to get into it, that's why I like Smallwood. Again, we know Ajayi's gone, but Sproles looks like he might be back soon, and he liked Darren Sproles. Tonight, I would say I like Clement better than Smallwood, but long-term, I definitely like Smallwood much better. The only reason I like Clement tonight is because he is bigger. And I think that with the weather, they might run the ball. But that's the only reason I'm saying I think the more talented is Wendell Smallwood. I think you can trust Wendell Smallwood a little bit better. And if the Giants are winning and they start to hand it off to Saquon, I think Wendell Smallwood is the better bet. I want to see to believe first. If you have to start him, I prefer Wendell Smallwood.
Especially those guys that are on a bye with their Saints players. You got Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. Right. You might need a running back 2 flex play.
Right. No, again, if you need to start them and both are available, I would prefer Wendell Smallwood. I would just like to believe, look, maybe if someone else has him, you trade like something late to get him, but I prefer Wendell Smallwood, but I really don't prefer any of them tonight. Or this week.
Great point. My sit was originally T.Y. Hilton. But you can't sit someone if they're already ruled out.
Yeah, that's what we had in the notes.
So what I have concocted since then, which was basically a minute ago, is Royce Freeman, Denver Broncos. They're going up against a stout defense. Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, the highly paid Aaron Donald. Yeah. And I believe this game is going to be a shootout in Denver. And once those games get into a shootout and a pinball machine, the running game, especially for Denver, becomes non-existent, and this will be Philip Lindsay's show out of the backfield because I believe the Oregon Duck, Royce Freeman, is just a north and south runner.
I also think they should be handing the ball off to Royce Freeman. The way you
early downs.
The way you beat the teams like the Rams and the Chiefs and the Patriots, you've got to play ball control, and you've got to hope the other team is just a little off rhythm. So you'd think that Royce Freeman can get some touches. It's Vance Joseph. Don't expect anything you'd normally think.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say.
Nah, you hit the nail on the head there. Okay, my friend, studs and duds
of the season through week 5.
Through week 5, going into week 6, I'm gonna name my stud, and then Ricky P will proceed after me. So I'm gonna start with who better than the guy we were talking about before, the gunslinger from Kansas City Chiefs, Pat Mahomes. I love this kid. As soon as he came out from Texas Tech, I know Ricky always makes the great point that out of the Big 12, there's not a lot of successful guys. Well, you know what? I think it's going against Rick. The odds are going against him. And I believe Patrick Mahomes has come up big, especially with a quarterback whisperer in Andy Reid and a great team. I mean, if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense, it looks like you just went to Toys R Us. It looks like you went to FAO Schwartz. You have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins they just gave some do-re-mi to. You got Hunt in the backfield. And let's not forget about Spencer Ware, who could do some things too if Hunt misses a game or a couple of snaps. Definitely a lot of talent, rich in talent, and rich in play calling. Very creative. And I believe Patrick Mahomes is a stud.
Yeah, no, Patty Mahomes is certainly a stud. My other one is a stud who was already, I thought, a stud last year, but he's really stepped it up. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen.
I got a feeling for Adam Thielen.
He's leading all wide receivers in points, and he's averaging 24.8 PPR points a game. which is obviously, an insane. I don't think he'll keep it up. It's insane. And he's also had 6 catches and 100 yards in every game as well. So, look, guys, I wouldn't try. If I have Thielen, I might even be able to get rid of him for a first or a second rounder, but he's my stud. I mean, this guy is just – Kirk Cousins has certainly helped the cause as well.
Okay. My dud is a guy that is not in a good situation right now. Derrick Henry, the former Bama Bruiser on the Tennessee Titans. He is in a horrendous situation, and I don't foresee myself or anyone else playing him unless there's an injury to Dion Lewis, and the volume is just there. But other than that, the offense base that Matt LaFleur has with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee is very quick rhythm passing. It's very fit for Dion Lewis. That's why they brought him in. Sort of like a Tevin Coleman type, maybe a poorer version. But, I believe Derrick Henry cannot do anything in this offense. Even though they have like a top 5 line, they have a really good offensive line with Tyler Luan and the kid from Michigan State. Can't think of his name right now.
Jack Conklin.
Yes, that's who the Giants wanted. Well,
of course, the Giants didn't get him.
But. Naturally. I believe Derrick Henry is my dud of the season as far as it goes. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly not wrong. I mean, he's a dud. What has happened to LeSean McCoy? Look, I don't even think it's really his fault. He's only averaging 4.3 fantasy points a game, PPR. You can't trust him to get you 10. This was a guy who, with Tyrod Taylor last year, he was getting you 15 to 20. You can't trust him to get you anything right now. He's only getting 9.7 touches a game, and I hate, it's not really his fault. It's just the Bills are losing early. They've got to throw it, and Josh Allen's not one of those guys to look for LeSean McCoy. He likes to throw it down the field, a.k.a. Kelvin Benjamin and some of those other guys, But that whole team is a mess right now, other than that one game they played against Minnesota. So, look, I don't think LeSean McCoy is a dud. I think his stock is a dud because of the situation that he was in. Game script we talked about all the time. Look, they're losing in a lot of games, and they can't run the ball. Their line's no good. So LeSean McCoy is my dud. If he does get traded, however, I think the Eagles are a potential possibility. Look, real quick, if I'm the Eagles, go make a trade for Le'Veon Bell, please. I'm not sure at all James Conner owners would love that. You can get
the Eagles don't pay, so why would you do it?
But you can give up something relatively cheap. Okay. Something relatively cheap. Rental. No, absolutely. But you just lost Jay Ajayi. I think the Steelers are very happy with James Conner. He's not obviously Le'Veon Bell, but they're pretty excited. We don't know what's going to happen. I think this solves an issue for both teams.
Great. Okay, moving forward. Definitely your take, by the way. I just want to cut in there. Rick, I'm going to ask you. You have $100 in your pocket. Off the top of your head, what game you're going to get this week, all right? Because, we've got a lot of good games. It's week 6. I'm in Jersey. I want to go to the Meadowlands. I want to put my Benjamin on something. What do you like? From my take, I really, really love Carolina, Washington pick'em. Just for the mere fact Washington looks like doo-doo and can't move the ball, and I think Jay Gruden's another one on the chopping block. And Adrian Peterson is 10 years older. And Alex Smith, we look like that Andy Reid made a great choice trading him away. So Cam Newton, the boys, Kuechly, I think they dominate, and I think that's a great pick 'em right now. So that's my pick. What do you got for me, Ricky P?
I'm going to go with the Falcons at home against
the
Bucks. They're only -3, which is a little surprising.
Especially in the dome.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Fitzmagic is over and Winston is still no good. So if we take that into consideration, look, the Falcons were no-shows last week versus Steelers.
Yeah.
If you have any sort of Falcons fantasy player, play him this week.
Or you could possibly say any Tampa Bay player other than
due to game script and things like that. Like this, that might provide points, but look, like this Falcon team, they might put up 35, 40. I don't know how the Bucs are going to stop them. If it's Tevin Coleman running, fine. If it's Smith running, fine. Devontae Freeman, fine. I could throw in Austin Hooper, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu. I don't know how the Bucs are going to stop unless seriously, like the only way Tampa Bay wins is if someone like Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber show up and they play ball control. That's it. But like this Falcon team, look, they're going to put up points, and I love the Dirty Birds.
The Dirty Birds, like Dion used to say. Okay, my friend, we're going to play another game real quick. It's called Keep, Cut, Simmer. Okay? And I'm going to surprise Ricky, and he's going to give us his analysis. So, keep, cut, simmer. All right? Adrian Peterson, Bilal Powell, Ronald Jones. Now, just take into account, this doesn't mean for right now. This is obviously future weeks ahead. So, you could probably look down on a Ronald Jones. But, Peyton Barber looks bad. And you never know how bad, that offense is looking. They might lean on the run with Winston coming back. What do you think of Ronald Jones, Adrian Peterson, and Bilal Powell? What are you doing in that instant?
I'm going to, so we explain to our viewers, keep is guys you want going forward. You want to play him going forward, or at least he's an option.
Right.
Cut is a guy you want no part of, just get rid of him now. And simmer is like, you really only want to use him if you have to. You really don't want to, but maybe he does explode and gets better. I'm going to cut. So back to those three options. We said Adrian Peterson, Ronald Jones, and Bilal Powell. I'm going to cut Ronald Jones. I didn't even like him in college, really. I didn't like him at USC.
Okay, you're cutting the Texas Tesla.
Yeah, I didn't. No, Ronald Jones was in
yes, he was,
USC.
Yeah, but he's from Texas.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't like him at USC.
They called him that at Texas high school. Where you been? Obviously not in Texas.
No, I didn't like him at USC. So I'm certainly not going to like him in the NFL. I'm going to cut Ronald Jones.
Okay.
I'm going to simmer on Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
He had a nice beginning, but like he's just old, and they paid Chris Thompson. They want him to get his touches. They paid Alex Smith. They want him to throw the football. Now, we've talked about that all the time. At the same time, like when you pay a quarterback, like they want you to throw the football. Like Kirk Cousins got paid money. Is there any shock the guy's throwing it 35 times a game? No. So I'll just simmer on Adrian Peterson. Maybe he has a nice week or two and you could trade him for something. But I'm going to keep Bilal Powell, and this is why. I think he's much more talented than Isaiah Crowell.
He definitely needs some touches.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, last week, I was actually playing against Bilal Powell, and I was kind of nervous when he got the ball because I know he can do some things. The problem is just the way Crowell was running, you had to feed him. But Isaiah Crowell, we've seen what he is. We saw what he was in Cleveland. We've seen what he is as a Jet. He's not all that great. He's you know what he is? He's a less talented version of LeGarrette Blount, in my opinion. Which isn't LeGarrette Blount. A little
lighter version.
A little lighter, a little more... he cuts a little bit better, a little more athletic, a little more agile. But right, LeGarrette Blount he's going to just run you over. But I like Bilal Powell's stock. I would hold on to him and maybe play him if I have to.
For me, I am going to go.
We know what you're going to do, Bilal Powell. You're going to keep him.
I'm going to keep Bilal Powell. But you know what? I'm going to simmer on Ronald Jones just for the mere fact of. I feel like he has the catching the ball syndrome, but I feel he has a little bit of surprise towards the end.
Oh,
and also I cut Adrian Peterson. Yes, it's too old, and you know what? I don't see him lasting the season, and I don't think it's a big hit on your club. If you cut somebody like that, you could definitely get someone to replace it, or through bye weeks, you could definitely make a trade. But I don't think he's worth keeping just for the mere fact I think he's going to hit the IR any week soon. And I think Rojo is the more talented, has the more ceiling than Adrian Peterson. And you never know. With Winston coming back, they might lean on that run game. And Peyton Barber has been a disaster. So why not? They took him in the second round. Those guys that are taken in those top 3 rounds, you know what? They stay on the roster for a reason because those were precious picks. So I do believe in Mr. Rojo.
You're not a big college football. On a scale of 1 to 10, How big of a college football guy are you?
5. I'm a 5
okay.
because I could watch it, but I love, to be honest, if you want to make it sound like, I'm bougie, I like watching Alabama, Ohio State.
So we all do.
I want to watch the guys that are going to be NFL stars. Why do you ask that?
The only reason I ask is because I'm guessing you didn't watch Ronald. You didn't mention USC, so I'm going to venture.
Oh no, I did watch Ronald Jones.
Oh, you watched Ronald Jones. Good.
USC,
were you watching for Juju Smith-Schuster? Or were you watching for Ronald Jones?
No, I was actually
for Darnold.
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Oh, that's funny because I know you're an early sleeper, and Ronald Jones usually plays at 10:30. 10:30, those late USC games. Yeah. So I was just thinking that maybe you didn't watch them all that much, but maybe you did. I don't know. Maybe you did.
I don't think he's bad at all. I think he has spurts. I think in the right system he could be very useful. Right now, I just believe Dirk Cutter's offense just doesn't cut it for Ronald Jones right now. I believe Ronald Jones probably belongs in a Charger.
He would be better than Austin Ekeler.
Right. You see what I mean? So like a guy like with Anthony Lynn is more of on the run type of offense. Even like a North Turner, just to mix him in there with
He reminds me a lot of Tariq Jones.
Okay.
Tariq Cohen. Excuse me. Tariq Cohen.
You think? I thought
yeah.
You know what he reminded me of?
He's a scat back. He might be Darren Sproles.
A poor version of Jamal Charles.
Who actually just got got picked up.
Now that I bring that up, Jamal Charles just got picked up today by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, look, fantasy owners, don't worry about TJ Yeldon. He's taking the load in there. They just need a change of pace running back. But I do feel for you people who do have Leonard Fournette.
We should have said duds, Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette.
Wow.
Only because that now I'm hearing Dalvin Cook might be back this week, so
But who's really going to trust him?
Right, that I wouldn't trust him. And two, Leonard Fournette. I mean, now we're hearing bye week. I mean, that means he didn't play half the season. And then at that point, the problem is for the Jaguars, just get him healthy. We understand that you want to play him when the time comes, which is fine. But at the same time, look, we can't do anything about that. Going forward, he's not gonna. What is he supposed to do? He won't help you. Your season might already have been decided without Fournette, so it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a kid in my league, who inherited Leonard Fournette, and he's like, my season's already over. He has his two keepers were Keenan Allen and Leonard Fournette.
Keenan Allen struggled a little bit.
Right, struggled out of the gate. And Leonard Fournette hasn't been seen since the first snap of the year. So, he's having a tough year, so I took Julian Edelman off his team.
Yeah.
Wink.
I guess he's given up. But.
Yeah, so moving forward, don't hesitate in that Jacksonville backfield if you have TJ Yeldon. Just reap benefits. Okay, so in conclusion, folks, because all great things must come to an end. So for today's show, thank you for listening, and please subscribe to JFP Sports on YouTube channel. Please also follow us at JFP Sports so you could DM us on our IG account, and we'll definitely answer your questions on air. In the great words of Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Till next time, folks. Thank you.